entries for following books of yoga, and the second one is Hindu Christian Dictionary. Sir is also a Sarangi player and he performs at various places in India. So, after knowing a lot about you, sir, I'm very eager and excited to hear you on our today's topic, which is understanding therapeutic aspect of yoga through scriptures. So, without wasting much time, I pass this virtual stage to you, sir.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And thank you, Devang sir, for inviting me on this platform. And I can say that this is for the first time that I am going to talk on the therapy part of yoga. Because basically, I am not from the yoga background and I'm not the practicing therapist as such, but I am the student of Sanskrit, and whatever I can learn, whatever I can understand through our Sanskrit scriptures, that I would like to share with you. So the topic which I have chosen for today's talk, that is understanding therapeutic aspects of yoga through scriptures. Now, whenever we talk about yoga, we know that yoga is a very vast subject. We cannot define yoga in just one line because there are so many different aspects of yoga. There can be Patanjali yoga tradition, there is Hatha yoga tradition, there is Laya yoga, there is even in Bhagavad Gita also there are different types of practices which are described. So it is very difficult to restrict yoga into a particular field. So there are so many different branches of yoga, there are so many different aspects of yoga, and out of many aspects, therapy is one aspect which we can understand and which we can use for the betterment of all the people. Okay, so today I will be talking on the therapeutic aspect, but that will not be based on the practical things or the practices. So I'm not a practicing therapist, but I would like to explain the things with the help of scriptures. How can we understand therapy as described in our Sanskrit scriptures, that I would like to talk upon. Now, to begin with, I can explain that there is Yoga Sutra, which is very important text on yoga philosophy, as we all know, which is written by Maharshi Patanjali. And on that Yoga Sutra, the very important commentary is written by Maharshi Vyasa, which is known as Vyasa Bhashya. So, in the Vyasa Bhashya, he has explained the similarities between the Ayurveda Shastra and the Yoga Shastra. In the Sadhan Path, there is discussion about what is the structure of Yoga Shastra. If we want to understand Yoga Shastra, if we want to understand what are the practices explained by Maharshi Patanjali, if you want to see, so in the commentary, Vyasa has given the explanation and he explains how there can be similarity between Ayurveda Shastra and Yoga Shastra. So he says, Chikitsa Shastram Chaturvidham. This is very important concept which is mentioned by Vyasa. He says that Chikitsa Shastram. So the word Chikitsa is mentioned by him, and he says that if we want to understand Chikitsa Shastra, that is medical science, then it is Chaturvyuham. The structure of medical science is having four different aspects. First one is Roga, second is Roga Hetu, third one is Arogya, and fourth one is Bhaishajya. So Vyasa explains that the medical science is based on the four different aspects, and without dealing with these four things, it is not possible for a doctor to treat the patient. Okay, so now what are these four things which a doctor has to know, and what are the four things on which the medical science is based on? So the first one is Roga, second is Roga Hetu, third is Arogya, and fourth one is Bhaishajya. Now wherever we are ill, whenever we are facing some problem, if there is disease or if there is illness, and when we go to doctor, what is the first thing that doctor is asking us? So doctor is asking, what is the problem, what is your problem, what is the disease? So for example, if I'm telling the doctor that I'm having fever or I'm having cough and cold, so the first thing that we convey to the doctor is what is the roga. Okay, now it is possible that just by understanding what is roga, doctor can give the medicines and he can treat. But in our medical science, only to know the roga, only to know what is the disease, that is not sufficient. But it is also very important to understand what is roga hetu, what is the cause of disease. Because according to Ayurveda also, if we read the scriptures on Ayurveda, like for example Charaka Samhita or Sushrut Samhita or Ashtanga Hridaya, in Ayurveda especially, there can be different causes of the same disease. If I'm telling the doctor that I'm having fever, then it may be possible that fever can cause because of multiple reasons. So what exactly is the cause for my fever, that doctor has to find out. So there can be more than 80 types of fever, there can be different causes of fever. So only giving the medicine for the fever is not sufficient, but it is also very important to understand what is the cause of fever. And if doctor is able to diagnose the cause, then only that disease can be eradicated. So only giving the medicine for the fever is not sufficient, but to understand the cause of that fever and to give the medicine for that is very important. And if the diagnosis is proper, if the doctor is able to do that nidana or that diagnosis in a proper way, then definitely he can treat the patient very well. So the first thing is roga, second thing is roga hetu, what is the cause of disease, third thing is arogya. If doctor is able to find out the proper reason, if doctor is able to do the proper diagnosis of the disease, then even he can give good health to the patient. And that good health can be given because of the treatment, because of the chikitsa. Okay, so when we are talking about yoga therapy, so that chikitsa is only one pillar of the total, we can say, diagnosis and how to treat the patient. Chikitsa is one aspect, but if we want to do chikitsa properly, that can be yoga treatment, that can be yoga therapy, it can be allopathic treatment, it can be homeopathic treatment, it can be Ayurvedic treatment. I am not confined only to a particular system, but this particular structure which is explained by Vyasa Bhashya is applicable, it is applicable for all the therapies that we can use. So even for the allopathic doctor, even for the homeopathic doctor, it is very important to find out what is the cause of disease. And this particular thing we can see in detail if we go to the homeopathic doctor. Okay, so when we go to the homeopathic doctor, he will put a list of questions, he will ask many questions, and according to what answers we are giving, the treatment will be decided. So roga is the disease, roga hetu is the cause of disease, arogya is the proper health, and bhaishajya, that is medicines or the chikitsa, the therapy which is given by the doctors. If these four things are proper, means if doctor is able to understand what is the cause of disease, then even it becomes easy for the doctor to suggest the medicine or to suggest the practices. Now in case of yoga, we know that always the medicines will not work, because there are some of the things which do not require the medicines, but there can be some other thing also that patient can do and he can get good relief from that. For example, if I'm doing particular asana, so with the practice of asana, even without taking medicine, some of the problems can be cured. So nidana means the diagnosis of a disease is very important, and that nidana is very important for a yoga therapy also, it is very important for Ayurveda also, and even for the modern medicine. Now, when we go through the Ayurvedic scriptures, then we find that in Ayurveda it is mentioned that normal life of a human being is 100 years. Even in our tradition, we know that whenever we do namaskar to the elders, then they give ashirvada, they give blessings to us that Shatayushi Bhava, may you live for 100 years. Now, actually, even though we consider that as a blessing in today's scenario, because to live for 100 years is very difficult for us, but according to Ayurveda, that is the normal life of a human being. It is not something special. It is the normal life of human being. But still, why we cannot see the people living for 100 years? Why it is happening that people are living only for 60 years, only for 70 years? So why we are not completing the complete span of life? So according to our tradition, they say that we are not living the complete span of life because we are making mistakes somewhere, we are wrong somewhere. And where we are wrong, so they say that there are three things that we are doing. Okay, so diseases can arise or our life gets shortened because of three things. One is Ati Yoga, second is Ayoga, and third is Mithya Yoga. Now, basically, what are these things that I will explain? Ati Yoga means what? Now, whenever we talk about the human life, we can generally understand that there are two aspects of our existence. One is our physical existence, that is our body, our senses, that is our physical existence, and even mind is also very important. So, Ati Yoga means what? Like whenever we are coming in contact with a particular object more than necessary, that is Ati Yoga. As many of us, we are yoga practitioners, we are yoga teachers, we are students of yoga. We know the etymology of the word yoga. We know that yoga word comes from yuja, and yuja is union also. There are other meanings also of the word yoga, but the most popular meaning is union. Okay, so Ati Yoga means what? For example, if we are making contact with a particular thing more than necessary, then that can also create the disease for us. I can give you example that whenever we listen the music, or like some of us, whenever we are attending a Zoom meeting or when we are listening the video, we put headphones in our ears. Okay, now headphones are very useful if we want to listen the sound properly, if we want to use mic properly. So headphones are very good for that. But if the contact of our indriya is more than necessary, then what will happen? It will create problem for our indriya. अगर हम लोग जो सुन रहे हैं अपने कान से, तो अगर उस शब्द के साथ, उस साउंड के साथ अपने कान का ज्यादा कांटेक्ट हो गया, if it is more than necessary, then it creates problem for us. So if I'm listening the music for 1 hour, then that is okay, that is fine completely. But if I'm listening, if I'm putting the headphones for, let us say, 8 hours, for 10 hours, for 12 hours, we know that there are so many people who are working from home. They are doing all the work from home, and if for the whole day they are sitting in front of computer, so that is also a kind of Ati Yoga, because our eyes are having contact with the computer screen, which is uh, more than necessary. Okay, so it is extreme. It is not something which is good for our indriya, it is not good for our senses. So whenever there is Ati Yoga, whenever there is extreme contact with the objects which is not good for us, that also creates the diseases. Ayoga also creates the diseases. Ati Yoga means what? More than sufficient. Ayoga is less than sufficient. Now, there are few things which we have to do. But if we are doing less than that, then that also creates the diseases. Now, for example, if I say that uh, the amount of physical activity that a person is supposed to do, that much physical activity is very important. So if I'm doing extreme work, that will also create problem for me. For example, if I am working hard, that is okay. The work is worship and it is very important for every person. But if that physical work, or if that physical effort is more than sufficient, then that can create problem for us. Okay, so there can be, if I'm working for 16 hours, if I'm working for 18 hours, then that can create problem for my body, because the power, my strength is exhausted. And on the other side, if we are not using our body more, means if we are not doing the sufficient activity, lack of physical activity can also create the problem, that is ayoga. So if we are doing more, that will also give rise to diseases, and if we are doing less, that will also create diseases for us. So ayoga means lack of physical activity. Now we know that in the current situation, many people are working from home. We are not going outside, and the amount of physical work that we are supposed to do, we are not doing that. So because of that, what happens? The obesity increases, or even the amount of activity that we are supposed to do, we are not doing that. That also gives rise to diseases. So there are digestion problems. Our body is not functioning well, so there is laziness. There are so many problems which are arising because of ayoga. And the third thing is mithya yoga, means it is not even extreme, it is not even less, but whatever we are doing, that is done wrongly. Okay, now as the example which I gave, that if I'm sitting in front of computer, if I'm observing the screen of computer for, let us say, for 12 hours, that is also problematic. But if I'm observing the screen of computer only for 1 hour, okay, that is not extreme, that is not more, but the way I am doing is not proper. So mithya means what? Improper activities that we are doing. So if I'm keeping computer very near to my eyes, means I'm not observing the screen of computer for maybe for 12 hours. I am only sitting on computer for 1 hour, but in that 1 hour I am not using it properly. If the screen is very close to eyes, or if the headphones are very we can say they are not properly used, then that can also create the problem. So all the diseases, most of the diseases, we can say that they arise because of ati yoga, because of ayoga, or because of mithya yoga. And this is not only applicable for the body or only for indriya, this is applicable for mind also. Okay, our mind is also doing many activities and the thinking process is happening. So if a particular thing is done repetitively, extremely, then that also creates the problem. So when we know that when a particular thing is done many a times, now we know that we are the human beings and it is natural that we will have all different kinds of thoughts. We are having all different types of emotions. We become happy also, there is pleasures also, there are pains also, there can be fear also, there can be anger also. So it is very natural that we are having all the emotions. But if the person is having extremity of something, then that can cause problem for the person. If there is extreme anger, if there is extreme fear, that creates the problem. Or if our mind is thinking about something repetitively, if frequently the same thought is coming, that also creates the problem. So we know that whenever there are psychological disorders, then why they are disorders? Because every person is having negative thoughts, every person can have the depression, every person can have the fear. But why only specific people have to take treatment for that? Because the occurrence of that particular thing is repetitive. In their case, they are experiencing that, let us say, anger or depression again and again. So it is ati yoga. So basically, according to yoga and according to ayurveda, all the diseases, most of the diseases can arise either because of ati yoga, because of ayoga, or because of mithya yoga. And even we can say the practices of yoga that we are following, even when we are doing yoga practices, even we have to take care that these yoga practices should not be done more than enough, because that will also create the problem. If I'm doing pranayam, it is very good practice and it will definitely help me. But if I'm doing pranayam for 4 hours a day, that can create problem for me. If I'm doing pranayam for 6 hours a day, that can create problem for me. That means something which is good for my health, that should be in the proper quantity. Like in yoga, we use the word mitahara. Mitahara means what? Sufficient food or proper food. It is not the extreme and it is not even the less. Mita ahara means what? Mita means parimita, means as much as required, जितना जरूरी है, जितना आवश्यक है, उतना ही लेना. That is mita. Mita in Sanskrit is measured, something which is proper. That can be called as mitahara, and the same can be applicable for all the practices in our life. So we know that in normal, in this corona situation, many people are taking some ayurvedic kadha, they are taking some medicines, or they are doing pranayam. But even the quantity of that has to be proper, it should not be extreme, otherwise that can also create the problem. ऐसे बहुत सारे लोग हैं कि वो कोरोना के डर की वजह से बहुत आयुर्वेदिक मेडिसिन ले रहे हैं, इम्यूनिटी बढ़ाने के लिए काढ़ा भी ले रहे हैं, सुबह शाम लेते हैं. तो लेने में कोई बुरा नहीं है, लेकिन अगर वो भी ज्यादा हो गया, अति योग हो गया, तो उसकी वजह से भी प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है. सो दैट इज द मेन थिंग दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड अकॉर्डिंग टू अवर yoga tradition, that extremities have to be avoided. Okay, now afterwards, when we have to understand what the disease is and what the therapy should be, we can understand that there are two different levels. One is the body and second is the mind. One is on the physical level, second is on the mental level. And i I would like to discuss here one shloka from Charaka Samhita, which is very important. Now generally what happens, that if we are having any kind of problem, that can be viral disease, or that can be like any other thing, or even for the psychological disorders, we tend to go to the doctor and everything is depending on the medicines. So we think that the medicines are the ultimate solution for everyone, but that is not the proper thing and it is not advised by our tradition. मतलब क्या, जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं, वो फिजिकल प्रॉब्लम्स हो या मेंटल प्रॉब्लम्स हो, हर एक चीज की दवा, मतलब हर एक चीज का जो सॉल्यूशन है वो मेडिसिन नहीं हो सकता. दैट वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. And especially when we practice yoga, in yoga medicines are not compulsory, but even without medicines can also be managed. We can also manage our things, and we can also manage the disease without medicines. And even in Ayurveda there is concept of swastha vrutta, means what should be the lifestyle of a person. So if we maintain the proper lifestyle, then that can also be very beneficial for the person, and we can stay away from the diseases. So I would like to share one shloka from Charaka Sanhita, which is very important for every practitioner of yoga and even for the therapist of yoga, which defines that what treatment should be given for the physical problems and what treatment should be given for the mental problems. Okay, now I am discussing this because when we talk about yoga, we know that yoga is affecting our body also, and yoga is affecting our mind also. So yoga is, we know that it is completely useful for everyone, for the physical health and even for the mental health. So I would like to just share one slide, and this we can just understand. So these two shlokas are taken from Charaka Sanhita, and this is very important to understand what treatment has to be given for the physical problem and what treatment has to be given for the mind related problems. Okay, so Vayu Pittam Kafascha Uktah Shariro Dosha Sangraha Manaso Punaruddishto Rajascha Tama Evacha. Okay, now this shlok is only the information about what is on the physical level and what is on the mental level. Okay, so Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, these three doshas which are discussed in Ayurveda, they are on the level of body, Sharira. So Charaka says that it is on the level of body, dosha sangraha. So as we know that there is Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. These are the three doshas which are on the level of body. And even if we think on the level of mind, there is correlation of Vata, Pitta, Kapha with Sattva, Rajatama, the trigunas which are on the mind level. Manaso punaha uddishto rajascha tama evacha. Okay, so if we try to relate the Sharira dosha, means Vata, Pitta, Kapha with the Sattva, Rajatama, we can say that there is correlation of Vayu or Vata with Rajogun, there is correlation of Pitta with Sattva gun, and there is relationship of Kapha with Tamogun. Okay, so this particular shlok, the first one discusses about Sharira dosha, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, and Manasa dosha, that is Sattva, Rajatama. And the next shlok is very important. In the next shlok, it is said, Prashamyati aushadhaihi purvo daiva yukti vyapashrayaihi. So he says that purvaha means the first one means Sharira. So in the previous shlok, the physical problems or the physical illness, it can be treated aushadhehi. He says that we can treat the physical disorders, we can treat the physical diseases with the help of aushadha. And even he's talking about two types of treatments for the physical illness, that is Daiva Vyapashraya and Yukti Vyapashraya. Now, what is Daiva Vyapashraya and what is Yukti Vyapashraya, that I'm going to explain after this. And for Manasa, means if there is mental illness, then Charaka says that Jnana, Vijnana, Dhairya, Smruti, Samadhi. So there are 5 things which are very important if we want to treat the disease which is related to the mind. Okay, Jnana, Vijnana, Dhairya, Smruti, and Samadhi. That means what? Medicines cannot be solution for all different types of things. It is okay that if there is some physical illness, then we can give some medicines and we can make the proper, we can say we can maintain the proper proportion of Vata, Pitta, Kapha in the body, because according to Ayurveda, the diseases arise when there is extreme Vata. If the proportion of Vata increases or decreases, or if Pitta increases or decreases, means what? Vata, Pitta, Kapha have to be in the proper proportion in our body, and when that proportion is disturbed, then the diseases will arise. So with the help of medicines, we can maintain the proper proportion of Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So it is possible to cure the physical diseases with the help of Daiva Vyapashraya and Yukti Vyapashraya. Okay, so these are the two types of chikitsa. These are the two types of treatments which can be given for the physical illness. But for the mental illness, in the second shlok, it is mentioned that for mental illness, medicines are not to be given, but there is another solution, which is Jnana, Vijnana, Dhairya, Smriti, and Samadhi. And when we read the commentaries on Charaka Samhita, there is clear mention that the yoga therapy should be given for the patient who is having the mental illness. And yoga word is specifically mentioned there. Now, most of us, we may think that yoga therapy has developed recently and there is no relevance. Earlier, there was no yoga therapy as such, but it is not like that. In the Ayurvedic scriptures, now we know that Charaka Samhita, Sushrut Samhita, Ashtanga Hridaya, these scriptures are very old. They are approximately more than 2000 years old, and even at that time in the Sanskrit scriptures these treatments are mentioned, these therapies are mentioned, and yoga therapy is also specifically mentioned by Ayurveda scholars. Okay, so I will explain what are the three kinds of treatments which are mentioned in these two shlokas. So for the physical illness, it was mentioned that there has to be Daiva Vyapashraya and Yukti Vyapashraya. So we can say that there are three kinds of treatments. First one is Daiva Vyapashraya, second is Yukti Vyapashraya, and third one is Sattva Vajaya. Now, I will not go in detail of all these things because there are so many different kinds of descriptions which are given in the Ayurveda scriptures. Even in the Sushruta Samhita, there is description about 7 different sources of diseases. Okay, what can be 7 different causes because of which the person can have diseases? Normally, we know only 2 or 3 causes. Okay, but in Sushruta Samhita, he has explained 7 different types of causes because of which the person can have disease. So there can be one cause, like for example, if there is accident, so because of the stroke or because of accident there can be some disease, or because of the other beings, because of the other jivas. Let us say for example, if there are germs. Now whenever we talk about the virus, when we talk about the viral fever or the viral diseases, even the germs, even the virus is also other jiva. So because of other jiva, if we are having the problem, that is also a kind of disease. If because of the environment, because of extreme heat, because of extreme cold, if there is some disease, that is also one category. Because of having the imbalance of vata pitta kapha in the body, then also the diseases can arise, that can be another category. So these are the known factors, these are the known causes of a diseases which every one of us we know. किसकी वजह से बुखार आया? तो बहुत ज्यादा गर्मी हो गई उसकी वजह से, बहुत ज्यादा ठंडी पड़ गई उसकी वजह से, या मेरी ही बॉडी में इम्यूनिटी उतनी नहीं है इसकी वजह से हो गया। तो ये जो हम सबको पता है, ये भी किसी भी डिसीज के होने के कारण हो सकते हैं। But apart from these causes, in Sushrut Samhita, he also discusses that there are some of the causes of disease which are not known for a common person, and even it is possible that some of the diseases are by birth. Okay, so sometimes the people are born with some deformity, they are born with some diseases, and we know that according to our tradition, even according to yoga tradition and according to Ayurveda tradition, we know and we accept that only this particular birth is not our existence. We accept the theory of rebirth and we follow that tradition. And you will be surprised to know that in Charaka Samhita there is debate between two people or two sides whether Punarjanma has to be accepted or not. And in Charaka Samhita, according to Ayurveda, they have given answers to all the refutations, all the objections which are raised by the other side. So those who are not accepting rebirth and those who do not accept the concept of rebirth of a jiva. So in Ayurveda, in Charaka Samhita, they have given answers to all the objections which are raised by the opponents. Okay, so that is a different thing. I will not go into that. But when we take 3 modes of treatments, the first one is Daiva Vyapashraya. So it is the treatment for the diseases which are because of the karma of that jiva, which are the by birth diseases. So if we want to get rid of that, then what kind of treatment has to be given? What kind of solution has to be done? All that explanation is given under Daiva Vyapashraya Chikitsa. Okay, now that is the first kind of treatment, the first kind of therapy we can say. The second one is Yukti Vyapashraya. And Yukti Vyapashraya Chikitsa is very common and we all are following that. So Yukti Vyapashraya, Yukti means what? The solution. So when we are having some disease, when we go to doctor is giving us the medicine. So that is the yukti, that is the solution which the doctor is giving to us. So by taking the medicine in a proper way, we get rid of that disease and we become healthy again. Or only medicines will not come under yukti vyapashraya, but even ahara vihara. So if we eat the proper food, if we maintain the proper lifestyle, and even the yoga practices, especially those practices which are related to the physical aspect of yoga, like specific asana or a specific practice of pranayam or the shuddhi kriya, these practices of yoga which are dealing with the physical aspect, they will also come under yukti vyapashraya because they are solutions for the particular disease. Now I'm not explaining here any particular thing for particular disease because that is well known, and I know that most of us, we are practicing yoga, so I will not explain that by doing bhujangasana we can it can be very much beneficial for our spinal cord, it can be very much beneficial for our spine, etc., because that we all know कौन सा आसन करने से क्या फायदा होता है, कौन सा आसन करने से किस कौन सा डिसीज नहीं होता है, फैट रिड्यूस करने के लिए क्या होता है, ब्लड सर्कुलेशन को बढ़ाने के लिए कौन सा आसन है, ये जो कॉमन चीजें हैं वो हम सब लोग जानते हैं. So I'm not going to talk about the common practices of yoga which are practiced by everyone and which are well known to everyone, but all those practices which are effective and which are helpful for particular problem, they will come under yukti vyapashraya because that is the specific solution for a particular problem. And the third kind of treatment is sattva vajaya. Now sattva, according to yoga, sattva means mind, and even we know that there are trigunas like sattva, raja and tama, and mind is especially mentioned as sattva because sattva gun is the basic nature of mind. Generally what happens that we think that our mind is not stable, it is always distracted, it doesn't remain stable on one thing, it moves from one object to the other object. तो normally हमको लगता है कि हमारा मन बहुत चंचल है, तो चंचलता का जो संबंध है वो रजोगुण के साथ है. तो usually we think that the nature of our mind is like it is associated with rajogun. Like even in Bhagavad Gita, we know the shlok which is very popular. Chanchalam hi manah Krishna, pramathi balavad drudam. So Arjuna is asking Krishna that the nature of mind is very chanchal. It is not stable, and chanchalata has become the nature of mind. But according to yoga, chanchalata is not the basic nature of mind. Stability and ekagrata is the basic nature of mind, but because of wrong practices. So again, we can say because of atihara, means because of ati yoga, because of extremely thinking about something, because of extremely having chanchalata, that has become the nature of mind. But the basic nature is sattva gun, basic nature is ekagrata, basic nature is stability, and that is why the word sattva is mentioned for the mind itself. So the third kind of treatment is sattva vajaya, which is especially the treatment for the mind. So if someone is having mind related illness, if there is mental illness, then according to Ayurveda, we should not give medicine to that person. But there are other factors, there are other practices which can help that person to come out of that. And they are mentioned as jnana, vijnana, dhairya, smriti, and samadhi. Okay, so what are these things that I'm going to explain you afterwards? So these three can be considered as the three modes of treatment. First one is Daiva Vyapashraya. So in simple language, we can say Daiva Vyapashraya is the therapy. It is chikitsa for the by birth disorders, the diseases which are coming because of karma of a person. The second one is Yukti Vyapashraya. So when we go to doctor, when we take medicine, or when we perform a particular asan for the specific disease, so Yukti means the solution. टेम्पररी कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ गया, उसको हल करने के लिए हमने कुछ थेरेपी दी, और वो होने के बाद उससे हम लोग बाहर आ गए. बुखार आ गया, दवाई ले ली. या अगर कोई पोस्चर रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लम है, so for example many people are having the problems related to postures because for the whole day they are sitting at one place and they are working on computer. So because of that also there can be some postural problems. So for that also there can be some specific practices of asana, and by doing them a person can come out of that. तो ये जो सब solution है इसको हम लोग बोल सकते हैं युक्ति व्यपाश्रय. And the third one is sattva vajaya, that is for the mind. Okay, now we can say that in yoga there are two branches. One is Hatha Yoga branch and the second is Patanjala Yoga branch. So yoga is effective for body also and for mind also. Yoga can be helpful for Yukti Vyapashraya also, for Daiva Vyapashraya also, and for Sattva Vajaya also. So for all kinds of therapies, for all kinds of treatments, yoga is very much beneficial, and that is supported by the other scriptures also, that is supported by Ayurveda also. So whenever if there is physical problem, we can do the practices in the Hatha Yoga. So as I was mentioning that there are two types, or there are two branches in yoga, there are two disciplines in yoga. One can be named as Hatha Yoga branch or Hatha Yoga, and the second can be called as Patanjali Yoga. Now why I am specifying these two branches, because when we read the scriptures related to Hatha Yoga and Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, what is the main thing that we can understand from these two? That in Hatha Yoga tradition, in the Hatha Yoga scriptures, all the practices are emphasizing on the physical aspect, like asana or pranayam or indriya. That means they are dealing with the physical existence, they are dealing with the physical aspect of a person. And if we read the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, or if we deal with the Patanjala Yoga tradition, then that Patanjala Yoga deals with the mind. Okay, because when we read Yoga Sutra, all the explanation is related to chitta only. I'm not saying that Patanjali doesn't talk about asana pranayam at all. Asana is also there, pranayam is also there, but how much scope is given to asana pranayam by Patanjali? On asana there are only two sutras, on pranayam only there are two sutras, and if we take one more, means what is the benefit, what is the benefit of that? There are additional one or two sutras. That means asana is discussed only in three sutras. So out of 195 sutras which are written by Maharshi Patanjali, if only three sutras are contributed to, only three sutras are contributed to asana, then we can understand the scope of asana is limited. The scope of pranayam is limited, but Patanjali is exhaustively talking on what is the mind concept, what is the chitta concept. So there is concept of chitta prasadana, there is concept of chitta vikshepa, there is concept of chitta vritti. So all the explanation given by Maharshi Patanjali is on the basis of chitta. So it is more emphasizing on the mind aspect, whereas the Hatha Yoga tradition more emphasizes on the physical existence of a being. So if we take the body and if we take the mind, in these two we can understand that mind is superior, because whatever activities are happening on the level of body is just the instrument which is executing the orders of mind. Okay, so mind is on the superior level, and whatever problems which happen on the mind level, even they can also affect on the body. We know that whatever I'm thinking now, for example, if some action is happening on the level of body, for example, now if I'm speaking, now that speaking is action, or whatever I am uttering, the sound which is created in my vocal cords, that sound can be uttered on the level of body. But what to say, which words are to be uttered, and what words I have to say, that instruction is given by mind only. So mind is the controller, and body is only executing the orders which are given by mind. And we know that it is very strong connection of mind and body. So something which is on the level of mind, that will definitely affect the body, and something which is on the level of body, that will also affect the mind. So these two things are very well connected. So whatever practices we are doing, even though we are doing Hatha Yoga practices, they will also help our mind to be happy and healthy. And more than that, if the person is having the problems related to the mind, then if the mind is proper, if the thinking is proper, then even it can help the person to maintain the immunity and to maintain the physical health. So both the things are very important. Okay, so there are two branches, as I mentioned, that Hatha Yoga is the branch. So if we are practicing yoga every day, if we are doing asana, pranayam, and like Shuddhi Kriyas, which are discussed in Hatha Yoga, but even these practices have to be in proper proportion. They have to be proper, not extreme, not Ati Yoga, not Ayoga. तो जितना जरूरी है उतना ही करना है, उससे ज्यादा करेंगे तो भी प्रॉब्लम होगा. तो ये जो हठ योग के प्रैक्टिसेस है, ये हमारे लिए हेल्पफुल है. ये हमारे लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. They can help us for maintaining the physical health. But apart from that, mental health is also very important. So now I would like to more talk on the mental health concept, which is discussed by Maharshi Patanjali. Now there comes one concept in our scriptures, and the word is mentioned, that concept is mentioned as pradnya aparadha. Now generally when we talk about the mental health or mind, we think that we are very good, our mind is very good. We don't understand or we don't accept that whether we are having some problem on the level of mind or not. Okay, so maybe we are not having any major problem, we are not having any serious illness which can be considered to be very serious problem on the mental level. But we have to verify, we have to examine ourselves whether whatever thinking is happening on our mind, whether it is proper or not. So there is one concept in our tradition which is discussed as pradnya aparadha. Aparadha means what? Aparadha is offense. Aparadha is crime. And what kind of crime that we are committing? It is pradnya aparadha. We are committing the offense, we are committing the crime which is on the level of mind. Maybe we are not doing the physical crime. Okay, physical means, for example, if I am killing someone, that can be the physical crime, because of my physical violence, the other person is dying, other person is getting injured. That is the physical crime. Now whenever we talk about the physical violence, that physical violence can harm the other person, but there is the second kind of violence, there is second kind of offense which is on the level of mind, which is called as pradnya aparadha in our scriptures. Now what is pradnya aparadha? Now many times we are having two different personalities at different places. Okay, now when the person is in the office, his behavior is different. When the same person is at home, his behavior is different. When the same person is with friends, his behavior is different. That means what? One person is having different personalities at different places. In the office the personality will be different, at home the personality will be different. That means what? The same person, he's having only one mind, but that one mind is behaving in three different ways at three different places. Now if I just give you example, that if I am practicing yoga every day I get up early in the morning, I am doing proper practice of yoga, I am doing chanting also, I am doing meditation also, I am doing pranayam also. That means I am properly following all the rules and regulations which are explained in the yoga tradition. But at the same time, whenever I am, for example, if I am driving on the road, and if I am breaking the signal, if I am breaking the traffic rules, that is called as pradnyaparada. Means what? On one side I am trying to do all the yoga practices which can keep me healthy physically and mentally, but on the other side I am breaking the rule, and intentionally I am breaking the rule. That means what? I know that this is wrong for me, but I think that okay, others are going, so I should also go. So whenever, if the traffic police is catching me, then what I do, I will not accept that it is my mistake, but what I will do, ट्रैफिक पुलिस ने पकड़ लिया तो मैं क्या करूंगा कि मैं उसको थोड़े से पैसे देके भागने की कोशिश करूंगा. दैट मीन्स आई एम ट्राइंग टू गिव ब्राइब टू दैट पर्सन. This is pradnya aparadha. Means what? On one side we are trying to follow yoga properly, we are trying to keep our mind ekagra, we are trying to follow all the rules and regulations, but on the other side we are breaking the rules. And we say, means we do not think that it is wrong something in that, but we accept that ऐसा तो सब लोग करते हैं, तो मैंने किया तो उसमें क्या हो गया. सब लोग ट्रैफिक रूल्स फॉलो नहीं करते, कोई भी गाड़ी कहीं पे भी पार्क कर देता है, या ट्रैफिक पुलिस ने पकड़ लिया तो 500 रुपए देके 200 रुपए देके हम लोग छुड़ाने की कोशिश करते हैं. मतलब क्या? इट इज इन, इवन दो वी थिंक दैट ओके वी आर ट्राइंग टू सेव आवर मनी, 200-300 रुपया हमने सेव कर दिया, लेकिन जब हमने रूल तोड़ा, अगर हमने ट्रैफिक रूल को तोड़ा, even though we think that it is common for everyone, but what is happening, it is creating this small impression on our mind that we are not doing it properly, we are not following the rule. So it is the same mind which we are having, and whenever on one side we are following yoga, on the other side we are breaking the rules. Or even another example can be given, that if there is a businessman, and for the growth of his business, for example to pass a particular tender for the business or something, if he's giving some bribe, if he's giving some money to the government officer, and on the other side if he's going to vipassana and he is following the Mauna for 10 days, let us say for 15 days. So these are two different things. Okay. So on one side, we are not following the Yama Niyamas properly. And on the other side, we are trying to do meditation. We are trying to do Vipassana. So if this kind of behavior, which may not harm others. Okay. If I'm giving bribe to the policeman, that may not be harmful for that person, for the policeman, but it is harmful for me, because that is creating the wrong impression in my chitta, and to maintain the mental health is very important. So this is considered to be very big crime. This is considered to be a pradnya aparadha in our yoga tradition, because we are having the same mind. भले हमको लगता है कि हाँ ठीक है, योग तो अपनी जगह पे है और बिजनेस अपनी जगह पे है, हम लोग ऐसा बोलते भी है कि नहीं, बिजनेस अगर हमको बढ़ाना है तो ये सब करना ही पड़ेगा, अगर मुझे चाहिए कि मुझे बेनिफिट मिले, मुझे प्रॉफिट मिले, मुझे अगर बिजनेस को और ज्यादा लेवल पे ले जाना है तो ब्राइब तो देना पड़ेगा, गवर्नमेंट के ऑफिसर तो मानते नहीं है तो मुझे ये करना पड़ेगा. सो व्हेन वी अग्री टू दैट, व्हेन वी एक्सेप्ट दैट, इन अ वे इन आवर माइंड वी आर पोल्यूटिंग आवर माइंड समवेयर. So this is considered to be pradnya aparadha, and that is very much problematic if we want to make our chitta pure. That is not at all beneficial for us, and that is why for the mind, what things are important, that we should not break the rules, and all the yama niyamas, which are the foundational practice of yoga, they are definitely very much important, because that is to maintain the purity of mind. And as I was mentioning that shloka of Charaka, he says that if we want to maintain the health of mind, what is important? Now we know that we are not having the serious illness, we are not having any mental problem, we are not having some very problematic disease as such, or some severe illness as such, but we can say that whenever we are having the negative things in the mind, gradually we are moving towards the extreme illness. भले हमको अभी ट्रीटमेंट की जरूरत नहीं है या हमको डॉक्टर के पास जाने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन फिर भी हमारा बिहेवियर या हमारा थिंकिंग अगर प्रॉपर नहीं है तो ग्रेजुअली हम लोग उसी तरफ जा रहे हैं. Okay, so he says that 5 things are important if we want to maintain the purity of mind. First is jnana. We should learn. And what we should learn? When we learn the scriptures, when we read the scriptures, automatically they affect our thinking process, and because of learning scriptures, the perspective changes. Okay, so एक और भी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज यहाँ पे क्या है कि जब हम लोग थेरेपी के बारे में बात करते हैं, व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट थेरेपी, ऑलवेज वी थिंक दैट थेरेपी इज टू डू समथिंग. ओके, मतलब ट्रीटमेंट करना, तो ट्रीटमेंट करना हमेशा थेरेपी नहीं होता है. ऑलवेज थेरेपी इज नॉट डूइंग समथिंग, बट थेरेपी कैन ऑल्सो बी नोइंग समथिंग. मीन्स व्हेन वी नो समथिंग, दैट कैन ऑल्सो बी थेरेपी. Okay, so when I read a good book, that affects my thinking process, it improves me, and because of my thinking changes, my perspective becomes different. I am going on the advanced level. अगर मेरा विचार करने का तरीका बदल गया कोई पुस्तक पढ़ने से, that is also a kind of therapy for me. So reading is also therapy, listening to music is also therapy, doing yoga is also therapy, being in company with good people, that is also therapy, traveling is also therapy. So not necessarily therapy means medicines or a particular treatment. Admission to the hospital and consulting with doctor is not always therapy, but all these things which are other than that, they are also therapy. So jnana means proper knowledge of scriptures, reading books is also very important. Vijnana means not only reading the scriptures, but to implement that in our life, that is also very important. So jnana is the knowledge, and vijnana is vishesha jnana. When it is on the experience level, when it comes on the experiential level, then that is called as vijnana. Then dhairya, we know that we are not going to be always in the comfortable situation. We cannot say that always all the conditions will be suitable for us. We know that in the present situation we are passing from the difficult time. It is difficult for everyone because people are having no jobs, they cannot go out of their home. So this is the difficult situation. But even in this difficult situation, even though there are problems in the life, to be patient and to handle them properly, that is also very important to maintain the good mental health. So jnana, vijnana and dhairya is also very important. Then smriti is also very important, because whatever we have learned, that also should be useful when the proper time comes, when it is required. When the knowledge is acquired, that is one thing. But even when the time comes when we can apply the knowledge, even at that time we should remember what we have learned. So that's smriti and samadhi. So samadhi means ekagrata. So these all things are very important to maintain the good mental health for a person. Now these all references, this particular reference of sattva vajaya chikitsa comes in Ayurveda. But even in the Patanjali yoga tradition, when we read the Yoga Sutras of Maharshi Patanjali, there are, we can say, all the practices which are explained by Maharshi Patanjali are only for the good mental health. Okay, so we can take Ishvara Pranidhana, or we can take Abhyasa Vairagya, we can take uh, even the practice of Kriya Yoga is also very important. Even there is concept of Chitta Prasadana, which is very important and the fundamental concept in yoga. So Patanjali talks about Chitta Prasadana. Prasadana means what? It is the purification of mind. Now, if we want to make our mind pure, how can we make it pure? अगर हम लोग अपने घर को शुद्ध बनाते हैं, अपने घर को साफ हम लोग रखते हैं, तो रोज सुबह उठने के बाद हम लोग घर को झाड़ू लगाते हैं, हम लोग कचरा साफ करते हैं. Similarly, how to make our mind pure? So Patanjali says that we can make our mind pure, but there is no any physical activity for that. मतलब जो माइंड के लेवल पे है उसको हटाने के लिए माइंड पे ही प्रैक्टिस होनी चाहिए. जो गंदगी, जो इम्प्योरिटी मन के लेवल पे है उसको कैसे निकालेंगे, तो वो प्रैक्टिस भी माइंड के ही लेवल पे होनी चाहिए. समथिंग विच इफ द प्रॉब्लम इज ऑन फिजिकल लेवल, then we can treat that with the physical activity or some medicines. But if the problem is on mind level, then it can be treated with the help of mental practice only. So for example, if I give you the example of Chitta Prasadana, Patanjali talks about developing 4 types of bhavana: Maitri bhavana, Karuna bhavana, Mudita bhavana, Upeksha bhavana. So if I just explain that in short, generally what happens that when we come across any sukhi person, if someone is happy, generally what happens that when we observe any other person to be happy, we do not become happy, but we become jealous. So other person is happy, but we are jealous. So that jealousy may not disturb the other person. Other person is happy, तो दूसरा तो सुखी है, वो तो सुखी ही रहेगा. लेकिन उसको सुखी देखने के बाद क्या हो गया, मेरे मन में jealousy की भावना आ गई. So that jealousy is not creating any problem for the other person, but that jealousy is creating problem for my own mind. Because where is the jealousy? In my mind. So that is creating problem for me. So for a sukhi person, when I become jealous, that jealousy is polluting my mind. And for that, a very important word is mentioned by the yoga commentators, by Vachaspati Mishra. He says that it is kalushya, it is the impurity. Okay, so it is kalushya, irsha kalushya. So for a sukhi person, if we are having the feeling of irsha, if we are having the feeling of jealousy, that will pollute my own mind. It will not create problem for the other person, it will create problem for me. And only having the negative feeling for once, that is not sufficient. Okay, now in that sutra of Chitta Prasadana, he talks about 4 bhavanas, but I'm just giving you example of Maitri bhavana. Okay, so instead of having jealousy, now that jealousy, that irsha is the problem in my chitta, it is the problem of my mind. So if I want to purify my chitta, then what should I do? So Patanjali is suggesting the therapy for that. He's suggesting the treatment for that. So if that irsha is replaced with Maitri bhavana, so if some other person is sukhi, instead of being jealous of that person, if you develop the feeling of friendship, then because of friendship, your own chitta will remain in the pure state. Your own chitta will be prasanna. मतलब ये जो योग के प्रैक्टिसेस जो महर्षि पतंजलि बोलते हैं, मैत्री भावना, करुणा भावना, we should develop compassion for dukhi person. Or if someone is punyavan, someone is lucky, then we should be happy for him. If someone is having knowledge, we should be happy for him. If someone is having all the good health, we should be happy for him. And if someone is apunyavan, if someone is not fortunate enough to have all the things in the life, instead of being agitated towards that person, we should have neutral feeling. There has to be upeksha bhavana. So Patanjali has explained all these different practices, like to develop Maitri Bhavana for Sukhi person, to develop Karuna Bhavana, compassion for Dukhi person, to develop Mudita Bhavana for Punyavan, and to develop upeksha bhavana for apunyavan. All these bhavanas are not for the others, they are for ourselves. ये करने से दूसरे के ऊपर हम लोग कोई उपकार नहीं कर रहे हैं. अगर मैं दूसरे के साथ फ्रेंडशिप कर रहा हूं तो वो दूसरे के लिए बेनिफिशियल हो या नहीं हो, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग, बट इट इज बेनिफिशियल फॉर मी. So if there is anger in my chitta, if I become angry on the other person, if other person is not behaving according to my wish, then I become angry on him. But that anger may if affect the other person, or it may not affect the other person, but it is affecting my own mind. And only having one feeling of anger is not the problem. Patanjali says that whenever one feeling is created in the chitta, then there is repetitive occurrence of the same thing, because that is the tendency of our mind, that is the tendency of our chitta, that it follows the same path again and again. And that tendency is called as vasana in yoga. Means, one, for example, if there is one situation in which I become angry, or if there is one situation in which the fear is created in the mind. So for example, if there was some reason because of which I became angry, so there was one incident of anger, there was another situation where I became angry, that was the second incident, there was third incident. So there were 3-4 incidents in my life in which I became angry, and the feeling of anger manifested in my chitta. But because of that, what happens, there was a fifth situation and everything was all right, nothing was problematic, but still I am becoming angry. Now why I am becoming angry if everything is all right? Because now that has become the tendency of my chitta. मतलब पहले 4 बार जब मुझे गुस्सा आया तो वहां पे कुछ ना कुछ कारण था, वहां पे कुछ ना कुछ रीजन था. लेकिन 5वीं बार जब गुस्सा आया तो वहां पे कोई भी कारण नहीं था, फिर भी गुस्सा आया, क्योंकि अब वो मेरे चित्त का स्वभाव बन गया. So this is also very important thing which Maharshi Patanjali is explaining, that vasana is the pattern of chitta. Okay, so if there is anger for the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, for the fifth time, there may not be any reason for the anger, but still my mind becomes angry. There is feeling of anger in my chitta because now it has become the tendency of mind. So if we want to control that tendency, there has to be proper awareness, there has to be proper knowledge of that. And as I mentioned that in sattva vajaya jnana vijnana, so even reading the scriptures, even learning, even traveling, even listening to music, these all things are therapy only. And especially when we talk about yoga therapy, one part, as I mentioned, that hatha yoga part, that is useful for the physical health. And reading the scripture, or to understand what Patanjali says, what is the yoga philosophy, just by learning philosophy also it will be helpful for us. मतलब बहुत सारे लोग, because I am teacher of Sanskrit and I teach the texts which are related to philosophy, बहुत सारे लोगों को मन में ये सवाल आता है कि ये पढ़ने के बाद इसका प्रैक्टिकल एप्लीकेशन कहाँ पे होगा, इसका कहाँ पे हम लोग इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं. तो बहुत बार कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि जो भी कंसेप्चुअल चीजें होती हैं, whenever we talk about a particular concept, then all the things are not to be implemented practically in the life, but whenever we learn about them, just by learning them, our thinking changes, our thinking process changes. And when our thinking changes, that means we are thinking in a proper way, we learn to think from different perspectives. So in a way, that is helping my personality to get developed, and that is very important. And we know that mental health is very important because mind is affecting the body, and it is not for, only for the common people. Now this is very common examples that I'm giving to you, that whenever there is anger, our body starts shivering, there is trembling, or our BP shoots. That means what? Anger is on the mental level, but the results are seen on the physical level, that there is shivering, or the BP is increasing, or if there is fear in the mind. So because of fear, there can be loose motions. Because of fear, even there can be, we can say, there can be sweating, there can be other results. So the fear is on the level of mind, but the results are seen on the level of body. So even in the physical health and the mental health, mind is very important, because even the health of mind is affecting the health of body. So, and these all examples, like for example anger or fear, etc., this I am not giving only from the practical thing. Even we know that in Bhagavad Gita also, in the first chapter there is a description, like when Arjuna is standing in Kurukshetra. Now even I am giving the reference from Gita. So Arjuna, we know that he was the great warrior, and he knew all the techniques of the war, and he was the great warrior. He was, we can say, he was superior of all. But in spite of having all the knowledge and all the skill, what is the condition of Arjuna? You all know the things which are in Bhagavad Gita. What is the condition of Arjuna? He says, sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushyate, sidanti mama gatrani. So my body is trembling, there is sweating, and mukham cha parishushyate, my mouth becomes dry. Vepatuscha sharire me roma harshascha jayate. So Arjuna says that my body is shivering and roma harsha, there are goosebumps on my body. Then he says that गांडीवम स्रंसते हस्ता त्वक्षैव परिदह्यते. मतलब क्या कि इतना बड़ा वॉरियर होने के बावजूद वो धनुष्य को भी पकड़ नहीं पा रहा है. वो बोलता है कि गांडीव, ये जो धनुष्य है मेरे हाथ से गिर जा रहा है, मैं उसको पकड़ भी नहीं पा रहा हूँ. त्वक्षैव परिदह्यते, आई एम एक्सपीरियंसिंग एज इफ माय स्किन इज बर्निंग, and न च शक्नोमि अवस्थातुं भ्रमतीव मे मनः. So in the first chapter of Gita we can see, so if this is the condition of the warrior like Arjuna, he was the great warrior, but in spite of having all the knowledge and all the we can say tactics and techniques of war, why he was having that condition that he was not able to hold the the bow and arrow? This was because of mind, because there was delusion in his mind. So it is very important to understand that the physical things are because of mind. And even according to Ayurveda, the thing which I was mentioning, that daiva vyapashraya, so there are some of the things, the diseases which come to us from even the previous birth, they may be because of wrong habits and the wrong thinking of a person. So mind related things are very important and we have to be very careful about them. And therefore, just I will conclude my talk. I will just refer to one shloka, one mantra which is from Chandogya Upanishad, and afterwards I will conclude the talk. So in Chandogya Upanishad, very important thing is mentioned. That mantra is ahara shuddhau sattva shuddhi, sattva shuddhau dhruva smriti, smriti lambhe sarva granthinam vipramoksha. So in Chandogya Upanishad, it is mentioned Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhi. Sattva is mind. Our mind will become pure if Ahara is Shuddha. And here we should not take Ahara only as food. Okay, generally we take Ahara only as the food. But here Ahara, Aharana means anything that we are perceiving. That can be the food which we are eating also, but even the thoughts which we are taking, or even the perception of the outer world, in whatever way we are perceiving, we know that even though we are living in the same world, but we are not perceiving the world in the same way. My perception is different, your perception is different, and every person is having a different perception. So ahara, aharati is to take. So basically हम लोग जगत में जब रहते हैं, हम लोग जब दुनिया में रहते हैं, तो हम लोग चीजों को कैसे लेते हैं, हिंदी में भी जैसे हम लोग बोलते हैं, how do we perceive the things, that is ahara. So if we perceive the things properly, if we understand the things properly, that is the proper ahara. That means if our mind is disciplined, and if our mind is having good and positive thinking, if it is having the proper knowledge, then because of ahara shuddhi, there will be sattva shuddhi, mind will become pure. And sattva shuddho dhruva smriti, when the mind becomes pure, then the person can have proper smriti, he can have very firm and grounded knowledge. And smriti lambhe sarva granthinam vipramoksha, and when the proper smriti is attained, then all the bondages, that can be bondage because of ignorance, or like now in Upanishads, or in philosophy, or in yoga, they say that kaivalya is the ultimate goal of a person, kaivalya or moksha. We should not understand moksha to be something very different or something which is very beyond the reach of the common person. But moksha means what? It is the simple definition. Moksha means liberation from dukkha, and everyone wants to be liberated from dukkha. So when we learn to perceive the things in a proper way, if our approach is if our approach is proper, if our thinking is proper, then in a way we are creating the protection for our own mind. And if our mind is properly protected, even though there can be negative things in the world, we will learn how to handle with them. We cannot change the whole world, हम लोग पूरी दुनिया को तो बदल नहीं सकते, दूसरे के मन में अगर नेगेटिव भावना है तो वो तो हम लोग बदल नहीं सकते, वी कैन नॉट चेंज द whole world, but at least we can create the protection for our own mind so that it will not get disturbed because of the external forces. Okay, so this was from the Chandogya Upanishad, and I think that yoga therapy, when we are going to treat the other person, that treatment is also very important. But before that, everyone has to treat ourselves. Definitely I can help the other person, but I cannot handle the mind of other person. मैं दूसरे के अंदर घुस के, दूसरे के मन में घुस के उसके विचार को तो मैं बदल नहीं सकता. So what is the most important thing, that everyone has to think about his own mind, everyone has to think about his own body, and everyone should try to learn what are the proper techniques to maintain the mind pure, because when mind is pure, then definitely it will help the person to keep the body also proper, and we will get rid of all the diseases physically also and mentally also. So in this way yoga can definitely be very effective. So hatha yoga, as I mentioned, that the practices which are mentioned in hatha yoga are really very beneficial for having the physical health. And the Patanjali yoga, Patanjali whatever practices, or not all are the practices, but just by learning, just by reading, just by understanding the philosophy also, so many changes happen in our personality, so many changes will happen in our thinking process. So that is also a kind of therapy only. So reading the scripture, understanding the things is also a kind of therapy in itself. So in this way, I would like to conclude, and just we can feel it is not only scriptural, even though in the title of my topic I mentioned that all the things are from scriptures, but they are also implemented by us, they can be implemented, and we can experience the result. We can definitely be benefited from the practices which are in the yoga tradition. And this tradition is ancient tradition, this is, we know that it is traditional knowledge of India. So compared to the other modern therapeutic techniques, definitely I feel personally that the yoga practices and yoga therapy is a far more superior, and it is beneficial for each and every person. So thank you so much for listening patiently, and I would like to stop here. Thank you so much.
It was a wonderful session, sir. So, here on behalf of Utsav Institute, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to our speaker today, Dr. Rudraksha Sakrikar, who spared time from his busiest schedule to grace this occasion. And thanks a lot, sir, for enlightening our mind on the topic therapeutic aspect of yoga through scriptures. And I'm sure this knowledge will surely be of great help for all of us. It was a great pleasure to hear you today on the topic, and I'm sure that everybody has enjoyed it thoroughly. And thanks a lot again. And thanks to all the wonderful audience for being so patient and be attentive. It was really great. Thank you so much for your cooperation. And tomorrow we will
Yeah,
again, as you know, that the series, yeah. Okay. Yes, sir.
yeah.
Sorry, you want to say?
Namaskar, everyone. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you very much, Dr. Rudraksh Shakrikar, sir, for such a wonderful, such a connecting session to connecting to so many scriptures that we have gone through, to the Upanishads, to the Vedic aspect, to the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and different way how we are integrating different awareness of how yoga therapy works for an individual, for at the mental level, at the physical level, at the at so many spiritual level, and it is all like connected together in a holistic way. So it was a really wonderful session to go through and get more clarity of how yoga therapy has been described in our ancient yogic scriptures. So I really thank you for this wonderful talk. And tomorrow, let us all connect together once again for the 6 to 7 p.m. talk. Tomorrow's topic is yoga therapy for the all-round personality development. It will be delivered by Sri Raghuram sir. He is from SVasa Yoga University from Bangalore, and he has been a wonderful speaker. And you will also enjoy that speech. So you can connect tomorrow again. And then day after tomorrow, we have Dr. Ganesh Rao sir's session, which will be on the stress management through yoga therapy. So I'm sure you all can, keep on connecting us on the Facebook. Also, we are live on the Utsav Institute page, as well as you can find us on YouTube, and you can see all of these videos also on YouTube as well. So I thank you all, and I thank Dr. Rudraksh Chakrikar sir for such a wonderful speech today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
night.
Thank you so much.